friends, my name is Shayla and today I'm here to do my second wrap up for the month of August 2019. So I've been reading a lot more than I expected to in the month of August. So that's what's led us to a second wrap up, which is going to be more like my mid-month wrap up. But if you want to know what I read in the first 10 days of the month, I do have a wrap up for that. I will leave that linked for you. And this is going to be from August 11th to August 17th because on the 18th, I began Read-A-Rama. So let's go ahead and dig right into these reads. Okay, to start off, I have 3 audiobooks that I consumed in those 7 days because I'm crazy and addicted. So I read books 3 and 4 in the Crossing the Line series by Tessa Bailey. So that was Boiling Point and Raw Redemption. Both were really good and filthy and all of the great things that are Tessa Dare. And then I also read earlier, it's like a prequel series to this one, but they're like connected to each other. And I read Protecting What's His, which was the first novel from that series. Again, all of these are like between 4 and 5 stars. They are filthy, smutty good. The audiobooks were great. I do prefer the narrator for the later Crossing the Line novels as opposed to the earlier ones, but I do still enjoy the narration as it stands. So if you're looking, all of these are in the Audible Escape option. So if you just pay for the Audible Escape membership, and you guys have heard me talk about this in a couple of videos now, but if you are already an Audible member, then if you do Audible Escape, which is like unlimited romance ones that are any of them that are under their Escape imprint, I guess you could say. If you're already an Audible member, it's like $7 a month. And then if you aren't, it's like $12 or $13 a month, which is less than the 1 book a month rate for Audible. So if you really like romance novels, definitely check that out. They have quite a few. Like I've listened to quite a few from that imprint already, and I'm really loving it so far. So something to check out. And these are all fantastic. I really enjoy them. Definitely check them out, and Tessa Bailey if you haven't already. All right, so I have 2 ebooks that I've read so far. Both of them were ARCs that I received early. The first one is One Fine Cowboy by Joan Kennedy. This is a Jersey girl meets cowboy enemies to lovers romance, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's really fun. It all takes place on a ranch. And the Jersey girl is also vegan and a member of PETA. And it just gets really interesting, like the discussions that they have. And the smut is extra smuttily fantastic. So again, this is another one that I recommend checking out. I believe it's either publishing towards the end of this month or early in September. I think it's the end of this month. So definitely keep that one on your radar. It was really enjoyable to me. And then the other one that I read was called How to Belong with a Billionaire by Alexis Hill. Now, this one was really interesting to me. It is a male-male romance, but what I didn't realize is the book that I read is actually the finale to a 3-book series. This one is definitely on the darker side. It deals with a lot of deep and dark topics. It also delves into some BDSM elements. So it's kind of a hot mess in ways. I ended up giving this 3 stars. I do think the chemistry between the two was great. A lot of the stuff that they had to deal with felt unnecessary to me. But, you know, it's fiction and that was the author's choice. It wasn't my particular favorite or preference, but it wasn't necessarily bad. So I would probably recommend starting with the first book in the series, obviously. But you could, the book did a really good job of like making sure you knew what was going on. I didn't feel lost, you know, outside of the first chapter or 2. But when you're jumping into book 3 and you haven't read the first 2, I think that's pretty normal. But the author kept me up to speed great. The amount of flashbacks so that you understood things was balanced. I didn't feel like it was overdone. But just some choices that the author made were not my favorite choices. So that's all I'm going to say for that. It's not a bad book, just not my personal preference. And again, a 3 star is not a bad book. So I would definitely recommend looking into it if you really like male romances that get a little dark and get really deep. Like, I just think you'll like it. Alrighty, that is it for all of the digital / Audible listening / reading options for this particular wrap up. So let's go ahead and dig into the physical ones. The first one I'm going to talk about is Total Bravery by Piper J. Drake. This was an arc sent to me by my friends at Forever. Well, it's a finished copy, but an early copy. And this is a true heroes novel. I really loved the story that we got in this one. This is a pretty involved series from what I understand. There's like several stories already in it. And I read one earlier this year and I really liked it. These are like former military who've kind of gone rogue / mercenary, and they tend to deal with bringing down trafficking rings. So I like the element where they're taking down the bad guys that are doing all this crappy stuff. And then there's a lot of great chemistry and smut mixed in. In this one, we're dealing with Raoul, and he begins to spend a lot of time with one of the other characters' sisters named Maylee, and they hit it off really well, have great chemistry. Again, the smut's great, really like it. Clearly I'm having a smutty soul moment, even though it's not smutty September, but I really enjoyed this. I definitely recommend picking up these True Heroes novels by Piper J. Drake. They're really interesting and just a really great read. Next up, I have 2 more of the Steele Brothers Saga novels. So I have the last book of Ryan's and then the first book of Marjorie's. So those are called Unraveled and Breathless. In Marjorie's, we're dealing with another character, Bryce, from the series, and their chemistry together is fantastic, obviously. And the stuff that's going on in this most recent book is fantastic. The other 2 books in this arc will be publishing later this year, so I'm current on the Steele Brothers novels and saga and all of that kind of stuff. But these go to dark places. Again, you're dealing with abuse and trafficking rings and horrible, awful people, so you have to be prepared for that going in. Basically, any trigger warning you can think of related to all of that, even like depression and self-harm, they're present in the entire series. So don't tread lightly on this one. This is definitely on the dark side of things. So I'm thoroughly addicted. I binged these 10 books in a matter of weeks and really enjoyed each and every one of them. I fly through them. The writing is very compulsory. But again, my only complaint really with the series is that the smut feels dated as you read it. So you're going to run into some terminology that you're like, I'm not so sure about that. And I think it's just because Helen Hart's been writing for a long time. And so she's just kind of fallen into those habits. This most recent one was better in that regard. So I do think she's getting better and switching that up better. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of the series. Next up, I have Lies, Love, and Breakfast at Tiffany's by Julie Wright. This is a proper romance novel. This was just a really fun, really innocently sweet romance. This is definitely Christian-based, so know that going in. But it was just a really fun, good time. I had a client pick this up for me, and it was fun. I would say 3 stars. Not the best thing I've ever read, but it was a fun time, and I have no regrets in reading it. Okay, so next up, I read all 3 of these modern fairy tales. So I read Tithe, Valiant, and Ironside in the month of August so far. They are each tabbed in a different color, but I can tell that Holly Black's writing has gotten better. Let's just put it that way. These, I don't think they held up as well over time. Ironside was my favorite of the 3 by a long shot. But you have to have really read the other 2 to fully understand what's going on in Ironside. So it's kind of this whole catch-22 kind of thing. But, I did read this to catch up with the Fairy-a-thon, read along. I'm sad I missed the live show. But, yeah. So it was like a 2-star, a 3-star, and a high 3. So that's kind of where we're at with these. And they're fine. If you like Holly Black, you'll like them. Clearly they're not the best things I've ever read. That's all I really have to say about them. I don't want to go into great detail on any of them, just because I didn't enjoy them as much as I hoped. So, yeah. Tithe was basically a lot of what's going on is it's teens going and getting drunk and high everywhere and then interacting with the Fae. That's kind of the easiest way to describe these 3 books and what's going on within them. Ironside, it's a lot better on that front, but that's essentially what's going on in the other 2, and it's hard to read at times. I just don't know what else to really say about it, and that's just where I'm at, and I'm okay with it. So, yeah, anyways, I'm gonna put this down now. Another read, this was actually a buddy read that I did with April from over April Sarah and Lindsay at Lindsay Tut. They'll both be linked down below. And that is The Evil Queen by Gina Showalter. This is our Tell It Again book club pick for the month of August, and clearly I have a lot of thoughts. This book was a wild ride. Essentially, we're dealing with children. Okay, let's start at the beginning, shall we? All right, so 6 women, all decide that they're going to rebel against this particular law within their land. And the law states that if a woman does not get pregnant within the first year of her marriage, her husband has the right to kill her. And one of the kings is on wife number 3, and she's at like month 11. So it's coming time for her to die. And so what happens is all of these women, these 6 women, decide to go and eat fruit from the from the tree of life and death, I think is what it's called. And anyways, they all eat it. One of them eats 2. So 7 children are born, and they have a prophecy that they're basically going to live out the fairy tale of Snow White and the Evil Queen. And so as these kids get older, they're trying to figure out where they fit within the fairy tale. We primarily follow Everly, and Everly, at the beginning of the story, is fated to be the Evil Queen. So we get this opening scene that, again, we get later in the story, but it's used with, like, Evil Queen and Charming and Snow White. So you don't know who these specific people are. But as you get into the story, when it gets to that point, you have who those people are. And it was just a wild ride because you're constantly guessing who's what within the fairy tale, even Everly. And the ups and downs were really fun. Obviously, there were some conveniences that we had by the end of the story, but all in all, this was a wild ride. I would give it 4 stars. It's definitely not going to be something that everybody's going to love. All 3 of us were like, I don't know whether I want to love this book or hate this book. So that's kind of where we were all at. We all had a lot of thoughts throughout it. Like, our little group chat that we had was quite a fun trip as well, because we're like, okay, what the crap is going on here? Why all of a sudden is Charming making out, with who we thought was Charming, was making out with the Evil Queen, and, like, it just felt, like, random and bad timing and all sorts of things. It was just really interesting, a wild ride, really fun. April and I will be talking about this on the this upcoming Sunday. I believe this one's over on her channel this time. Yes, her channel this time. And it was just a wild ride. It was fun. I'm really looking forward to our September read as well. And you will find out about that in the live show, so stay tuned. I'm not going to tell you in this video. And yes, so definitely check out The Evil Queen. It was fun. I thought the author, Showalter, did a really good job of keeping you guessing on who's who. And that was half the fun of the read. It's like, okay, who's really who? It keeps changing. We don't know what to do. And some people would get really frustrated by that, but it was just a wild ride. We had a good time. Now I have a few volumes of manga that I want to chat with you about, and let's go. So I've got volume 10 of To Your Eternity that I finally got read. And again, I really like where the story's headed. I don't think this is gonna be too much longer. I don't think it's gonna be a long-running series, but I continue to love each installment. I'm really invested in what Fushi's doing and what he's doing to protect the land and protect himself. And it's just a great time. I really love it. And highly recommend that everybody checks out To Your Eternity if you haven't. The first, 8 volumes are, crazy emotional, but 9 and 10 have not felt as like gut-wrenching, but they're really interesting still, so. And next up we have Classmates Volume 2, and this one is Winter, and so we are dealing with two boys in high school who are in a relationship together and the ups and downs that they go through. And there's a teacher that tries to insert himself into certain situations, and you get more understanding as to why he does that in this volume. And it was really good. It was really well done. I highly recommend picking up this series if you're interested in a male-male romance. I know this is BL for sure. I don't know that... yeah, BL and yaoi are so like interchanged anymore. I don't know where the line really stands. So anyways, it's really good. I highly recommend picking up this series. 7Cs is killing it with their like LGBT titles. It's fantastic. And then, oh lordy, we have volumes 9 and 10 of Requiem of the Rose King. This series continues to blow my freaking mind. Now, I've read the Shakespeare that this is based on, which is Henry VI and Richard III. And I recently reread summaries to make sure I was remembering correctly. And things are going down very differently in this series, but they are based on it. You can see the tie-ins in the story between the two. It's so good. It's so fantastic. I love it so much. And I don't know why more people aren't reading this series. Like, it's so good. And Requiem of the Rose King was the choice for the Panels Book Club this month. So if you have not picked it up, this is the perfect opportunity to try Volume 1. And yes, it's so good, guys. It's so good. I want to cry. It's so good. And sometimes I do. And all I can say is freaking Buckingham, man. It's freaking... Anyway. That's all I'm gonna say. If you've read, you know why I'm grumbling. So anyways. So yes, friends, that is everything that I read between the 11th and 17th, which is quite a bit. I have no life, guys. I really don't watch a lot of TV, and I have more time at work to read than most people, so that's where we're at. And thank you guys again for checking out this video. I hope with all my heart that you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments down below what one of your favorite reads of August has been so far, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.